Just tell him everything. And with just two qualifications, basically, speak any language you want. He understands all languages, but just take as long as you want, but tell him everything from beginning to end and be completely honest. And actually, Prabhupada did that with me personally once. You know, I had a secret issue about book distribution, something like that, and he pulled it out of me. You know, and it was quite frightening in a sense because he was so much into book distribution, but he pulled it out because unless there's full honesty, you can't deal with the issues. He can't deal with the issues. So it's the same point. Yeah. I guess. Because ultimately, you know, it is between you and Krishna. Yeah, and how do you want to approach it? So you just have to be, I mean, when I say you, I mean me. That's all. How do you want to, what do you want? So that's another one of the little questions we ask, what do you want? And then the next question is, okay, what do you really want? Because, you know, everyone knows the right answers. What do you really want? And you can't fool Krishna, so you might as well just, and it's humbling. So Hare Krishna. Because it's so mixed. Or at least I can say for myself, it's so mixed. You know, and it's, in one sense, it's easier to be really sincere when you're giving class. I mean, you know, the best part of you comes out. I'm a believer in that we have parts. You know, we're not one, you know, not a homogeneous mind in one sense, but we have parts, and part of us is good and, you know, and real sincere, and there's another part that doesn't, you know, but what about me? Who's going to take care of me if I give everything to Krishna? And then there's another part that, you know, some childish part that says, I still want to play with my new bicycle. And another part that says, I want to see this and I want to enjoy that. And the other part says, oh, you know, you can't enjoy anything, you know. So this is what goes on in our mind all the time because, and then, yeah, and there's one part that maybe if I actually get to the Chaitanya Charitamrita that'll come out that doesn't like to see anyone else's success. You know, the envious parts. But yet there's a sincere part that really only wants to serve God, serve Krishna. And that's really us. So sometimes we have to negotiate between all the different parts so that part can have its way, so to speak. So that they don't get in the way and derail our attempt. So there has to be a cooperative. We have to make friends with all these different parts. So it's like a science, in one sense, how to deal with our minds in such a way that we can go forward and do what we really want to do, what we need to do, and that means to develop a relationship with Krishna. I mean, I'm saying that because here we are in Vrindavan, and that's why we're here. So we're reading in the first chapter of Antya-lila, and so yesterday we read about the dog, and to become the dog of a Vaishnava, to become somehow or another accepted by a Vaishnava into his group. That was the meaning of it. of the part that we read. It was very touching. And then that dog ended up being blessed by Mahaprabhu and going back to the spiritual world. So the point of mentioning this, there's a philosophical point in this that even if we're a dog, even if dogs aren't, they're not princes and princesses in India as they're considered in the West. But they're considered filthy and actually, in fact, they are full of parasites. And but somehow or another, regardless of the meanness, the lowness of our position, if we can somehow be accepted by a Vaishnava, an exalted Vaishnava, and we consider him our master, and he considers us his dog. And actually, at my initiation, Prabhupada said that this is like a dog collar. And he said, the dog has one good quality. What was that?
Loyalty.
To his master, his one master. And it's so interesting how things said by exalted souls, the lessons that you were supposed to, it seems, that was one thing, being with Prabhupada, I understood at some point that there was nothing casual. It could be said casually, but nothing was actually casual. You're not supposed to take it as casual. Everything had meaning and depth to it. So that was one thing that I learned, but I had to learn by sometimes not being such a good dog, unfortunately. But and how where did the particular aspects of the nature, how many lifetimes ago did they take birth? In one sense, some trauma or something happened. Here we are, and we're all individuals, and we're all conditioned individuals. And this I understood more deeply recently when we talk about a conditioned soul. We're conditioned souls. You've heard that phrase, yeah. Okay, but what does it mean? We're controlled by the circumstances, by our natures, and if you understand that from the psychological point of view, that we have all these complexes, means if someone does something, we react in this way, and this is like programs in our mind. And then when you understand, when you look at astrology, you see that the planets are affecting you in this way, and the planets are affecting you in that way, and recently I saw that there was something that I was quite proud of in my nature, and then somehow or another I read some astrological thing, and it was just simply one planet in a house, and then so I really started thinking that then who am I in the midst of all this? Not really. We know we're not our body. We've heard that, and we're sort of supposed to learn that we're not our mind, and everything that we think isn't us. And this in the Bhagavatam 11th canto, it talks even the whole mindfulness thing is there in seed form in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam, that you're supposed to witness, not identify with your thoughts. So then, but who am I in the midst of this? And that is the beginning of human life, when you really just ask that question in the midst of all this: who am I? And that's what Sanatana Goswami asked Mahaprabhu. So when you're if you just try to take that process yourself and use the Jnana Yoga process, which is the mindfulness process, I'm not this, I'm not this, I'm not that, you can actually just find yourself understanding that you're consciousness. And that's such a relief. And then you become peaceful when you meditate on yourself, just your existence. But that's not who you are, really. That's just the symptom of who you are, this consciousness. So what Mahaprabhu told Sanatana Goswami and earlier on is that you're actually Krishna's servant. That's who you are. You're the servant of God. You're the servant of the Supreme Lord. So therefore the question comes up, how can I please you? Not servant do I have to serve, but it's a loving servant with a loving relationship. And then if you start experiencing Krishna's reciprocation with that, then you realize you're home. And that's what surrender actually means, because the word in English, surrender, it has such a horrible connotation in one sense, and we don't like it. It means, okay, I'll do what you want, don't shoot. But that's not what Sharanagati is. But it means a return to our natural position. Sharanam, but Mamekam, return to our natural position in relationship with Krishna, which means trying to please him with great, great affection. And that's the beginning of bhakti. That's surrender. And then the reciprocation that Krishna gives with that, then what naturally occurs is when you take on the position of Gotripte Varanam Tata, is that Krishna, you feel yourself under Krishna's protection. You're part of his group in that sense. And then you can become fearless. If you're actually giving yourself to Krishna and you accept who Krishna is, etc. So the next part, so that's becoming the dog of a Vaishnava. Means the servant, loyal. That was the part that's emphasized. So then the Antya Lila continues, is that following the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Rupa Goswami returned to Vrindavan because they had spoken in Prayag. He desired to write dramas concerning the pastimes of Lord Krishna. In Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami began to write a drama. In particular, he composed the introductory verses to evoke good fortune. So the comments are from Nataka Chandrika, which is Rupa Goswami's exposition about how to write dramas, and it's very everything, like it's the opposite of Western writing of poetry and Western writing of anything. Is that in the Western style there's no rules, because why? Is that you can do anything you want to create what you want to create. That's the basic idea. But when there's rules, and the rules have to be followed, that really tests your creativity. Can you make something beautiful within these rules? So I used to think that it was a restriction, but it is a restriction, but it's a restriction to see who's the expert, the expert. So Rupa Goswami wrote a book called Natika Chandrika. And in that book, all the rules are described. So in the Prabhupada quotes Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, whose comments on Chaitanya Charitamrita, his comments and the comments of Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Bengali, he's basically, not always, but basically translated. So then after some time, so the beginning, the first verses of a drama or any writing are called the Nandis sloka, which means the ones that evoke good fortune and blessings. So on his way to Gauda Desh, so Rupa Goswami had gone to Vrindavan, and Sanatana Goswami had gone to Vrindavan, but they missed each other because they went on different paths. They both had seen Mahaprabhu, and Mahaprabhu had sent them to Vrindavan from Benares and Prayag. And of course they couldn't communicate easily like we can communicate now. So they happened to miss each other because they went on different paths. So Rupa Goswami stayed for some time, But then he went back to Bengal. He went back to his home place. He had something to do. That was called Godadesh. So on his way to Godadesh, Rupa Goswami had been thinking of how to write the action of the drama. So it was such a different universe that you had to compose everything in your mind. There was no, because if you rewrote it, then you'd have to rewrite it, every single thing, and there was no. Yeah, it was very difficult. So the people's minds, so we think that was primitive, but their minds were so strong they could actually compose poetry, etc., in their minds that was, and they're perfect, and correct it and just get it exactly right, and then they would write it down. So he began thinking, Rupa Goswami, as he was walking, so he began thinking of how to write the action of the drama. Thus he made some notes and he began to write. In this way, the two brothers, Rupa and Anupam, because Rupa was with his brother Anupam, reached Bengal. But when they arrived there, Anupam died. And Rupa Goswami then departed to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for he was very eager to meet him. So he had walked from Bengal to Prayag, and then he had walked to Vrindavan, and then he walked to Bengal, and at this time Mahaprabhu was already in Jagannath Puri. So how many kilometers is that? About not too many. Like from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan basically, and then back, but going through Bengal and everything. 3,000?
Minimum. 3,500.
Yes. So how long would that take?
Walking.
Yeah. Sometime.
100 days. Months. 100 days.
Yeah. And then only that. And you're a mendicant means and then. And what do you carry with you? Because everything you carry with you, you have to carry with you.
Yeah.
I once met this man who had, during World War II, he was a devotee, but when he was a young boy, and when there was fighting in the Ukraine, maybe not like it is now, but something. So that's when his family left and went to the United States, where I met him. And he said the whole villages were walking, and when you just imagine you're leaving your house, you've lived there your whole life, you have all your valuables, and you're attached to everything, so you want to take everything with you, everything of value with you, but then you face the problem, you have to carry everything that you take with you, and then so he said you'd find all these amazing, valuable things on the side of the road because people just couldn't carry it anymore. So this is the life of a mendicant, of these great renunciants, these great devotees, Rupa Goswami and others, is that they minimize their needs because they didn't want to have to carry anything with them because they want, and also it evoked a dependence on Krishna, and that's what they really wanted. They didn't want comfort as much as they wanted a dependence on Krishna, because when you depend on Krishna, then you get the reciprocation of Krishna taking care of you. And if you're depending on your phone and your credit cards, you get the reciprocation of your phone and your credit cards, etc. But you don't get the thrill of saying, wait a second, this is real. That Krishna's actually taking care of me. And which gives you such strength to be able to confront death, which is the most difficult thing to confront. Because your faith is based on experience, not theory. So there was some delay because of the death of Anupam. And therefore, when Rupa Goswami went to Bengal to see the devotees there, because they had heard that Mahaprabhu had returned from his tour of Vrindavan, gone back. So they all went to see Mahaprabhu. But when Rupa Goswami went to meet them, to come with them back to Jagannath Puri. They had already left, so there he was alone. So he was walking alone, and he was walking through Orissa to Jagannath Puri, and he was thinking about and meditating about, because he was trying to write this drama. So he's thinking about how should I word this and what should the action should be and this and that. And then there was a village called Satyabhaumapur. So he was internally meditating continuously on the service that he was supposed to perform. So that's in and of itself a perfection, because it's a service, it's for Krishna's pleasure. So how can I do this in a wonderful way for Krishna's pleasure? So when he was in Satyabhaumapur, Rupa Goswami rested for the night in that village. So where did he rest? He just, somewhere. And where did he eat? Somewhere. And where did he bathe? And just washed his clothes and put them on and kept walking. I once read this book. It was about Agora. You know what Agora means?
Agora.
Yeah.
I have, but it's a tantra?
It's a tantric, it's a really left-handed tantric. It means ghastly, basically. I think in Hindi it's probably the same. Yeah. So they were doing all kinds of wild things, and they're quite dangerous people. Completely unpredictable. But the person said that they're complete renunciants too. So he said that people don't understand the freedom that comes with being renounced, because you're not dependent on what everyone else is. There's so much freedom. You could do as you like. Practically, you don't like the weather here, you walk south. You walk north when you don't need anything. So and obviously we can't imitate it, but there's such freedom in renunciation. There's freedom. So Rupa Goswami was in Satyabhaumapur. Ratre Swapna Deki. So at night he had a dream. And a celestially beautiful woman came before him and very mercifully gave him the following order. Write a separate drama about me, she said, and by my mercy, it will be extraordinarily beautiful. And after having that dream, Srila Rupa Goswami considered, it is the order of Satyabhauma that I write a separate drama for her. I have brought together in one work all the pastimes performed by Lord Krishna in Vrindavan and in Dwarka, both places. Now I shall have to divide them into two dramas. Thus absorbed in thought. Now this is what bhakti is about. Absorbed in thought of how to please Krishna, and then the external activity is based on the internal mood of trying to please Krishna, basically love. That's called seva. When you have love for Krishna and want to please him, then your thoughts are based on that. So thus absorbed in thought, he quickly reached Jagannath Puri, and when he arrived, he approached the hut of Haridas Thakur. Out of affection, love, and mercy, Haridas Thakur told Rupa Goswami, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has already informed me that you would come here. And after seeing the Upala Bhoga ceremony, in particular, I think it's a morning ceremony. Do you know which one that is, the Upala Bhoga? You know? But some offering at the Jagannath temple, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would regularly come to see Haridas every day. And thus, just after Rupa Goswami arrived, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived. And when the Lord arrived, Rupa Goswami immediately offered his obeisances. Dandavat Kori. He immediately fell to the ground. And Haridas informed the Lord, this is Rupa Goswami. Informed Rupa Alingana. That's after. He immediately informed Mahaprabhu, this is Rupa Goswami offering you obeisances. And the Lord immediately embraced him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sat down with Haridas and Rupa Goswami. They inquired from one another about auspicious news and then continued to talk together for some time. Somewhere I read that when the devotees get together, they first, how is this person? How is that? How's your health? It's actually what you're supposed to do. So you gradually enter into the more deeper conversations. So when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired about Sanatana Goswami, because he had sent both of them to Vrindavan, Rupa Goswami replied, I did not meet him. I came by the path of the Ganga, whereas Sanatana Goswami came by the public road. They both went the same way, different ways to the same place, and therefore we did not meet. In Prayag, though, I heard that he had already gone to Vrindavan. Rupa Goswami next informed the Lord about the death of Anupam, about his brother whom Mahaprabhu had also blessed. After allotting residential quarters there to Rupa Goswami in Jagannath Puri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left. Then all of the Lord's personal associates met Srila Rupa Goswami. Then, on the next day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu again met Rupa Goswami, and with great mercy, he introduced him to all the devotees. Srila Rupa Goswami offered his respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of them all, and all the devotees by their mercy embraced him. So he was so exalted but so humble, and the devotees naturally felt so much affection for him and embraced him, just as Mahaprabhu had embraced him. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu, you should both show your mercy wholeheartedly to Rupa Goswami. And when Mahaprabhu orders all the devotees to, and he'll do this later, to bless him and pray for him and give him your mercy. So this is so perfect. So how to act in such a way that the devotees, want to pray for us and give us their mercy or embrace us. How to act. And one clue given here is have a humble, serving mood. So if Nityananda, Dvaita Nityananda, Toma Duijan, these two, Prabhu Kahe, Rupa Kripa Kori Kaimane, please wholeheartedly, with a full heart, don't hold back, he requested. Because superficially people will ask you, please give me your mercy, please give me your blessings and everything. And then you say, yes, mercy, blessings, but it's not real. Their request isn't real, and your response isn't real either. They request superficially, and you give them superficially, but you want it wholehearted. When Mahaprabhu personally requested everyone, with a full heart, you bless Rupa Goswami. So because Rupa Goswami was so special, and Mahaprabhu had already blessed him. And listen to the particular blessing that he asked them to give. May Rupa Goswami, by your mercy, become so powerful that he will be able to describe the transcendental mellows of devotional service. To describe Krishna Rasa Bhakti. Because to be able to describe it accurately, you have to experience it. So give him your mercy so he experiences what bhakti act to Krishna and experiences rasa in bhakti. And then describe it. Thus Rupa Goswami became the object of love and affection for all the devotees of the Lord. including those who came from Bengal and those who resided in Orissa. What do you think?
Yeah. Mercy should be. One should act in a way that one receive the mercy from the others. And
Good feelings.
Rutu Swami, he really worked hard in the way of he was anchoring the association of Mahaprabhu in the way that he walked so much that and he was not thinking anything else otherwise who would walk this much.
Yeah, 3,000 miles.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
So he was constantly thinking, and Mahaprabhu reciprocated in the same way.
Because no one else may know, but Krishna knows what you're doing, and he knows with what mood we're doing things in, and he knows. We don't need to advertise, and he knows all the good and the bad too. Everything. But he knows. Do you believe that? What do you think? Oh no, I asked you the last question. What do you think? His name is Burijan. He's the real one. He's the cook. He supervises the cooking and everything. Do you think?
Mercy will come automatically if we do something to get that mercy.
If we do what?
To serve the devotee to whom we are requesting for the mercy. We should act in a way to follow his instructions, or his mood, or his feelings. It's not to say Dandavad and I want your blessings.
Yeah.
There is no need to request for blessings. Blessings will automatically be do something.
Giriraj Raj once he told me this, that he had heard from one of the other devotees who saw this with Prabhupada. That's just imagine how many people would ask Prabhupada for blessings. His disciples mostly didn't, actually, but when he was in India, everyone, please give me your blessing, trying to touch his feet and everything like that. So one man came to Prabhupada, he said, please give me your blessings. And Prabhupada went like this. All day long, there's so many problems in the society, and they all have to come to me. If you want my blessings, why don't you take some of the management? Something like that, I'm paraphrasing. He said, every problem has to come to me. Because just imagine managing this huge thing that was all over the world, and you had to do, and he did it by little aerograms, no phone messages, no. Sometimes I once got a telegram from Prabhupada, actually. But and he said that and I once asked Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he told me that one devotee I asked him how Prabhupada. Anyway, Prabhupada really respected those who were doing management because it's so hard to manage people. It's so hard because people don't cooperate generally. They want to do what they want to do. And to get something done, so difficult in Krishna's service. So you get maybe when you're managing, you get some status, some prestige. People say, oh, he's in charge of this. But it's not worth it for all the trouble. It's so difficult. So therefore you have to find a different reason to do it, a deeper reason. And that's who you're trying to please. And then you ask the question, who am I trying to please? And then same thing, you know the right answer. And then you ask, who are you really trying to please? What's really driving this engine? And that's between you and Krishna. Any comments or questions on anything? Madhavananda, you obviously have a very deep question.
I was just reflecting on this, what you told
Or
me.
comment.
What you told me today about totally out of the subject, about the ladybugs. Totally out. So if you,
You brought up the ladybugs.
Yeah.
I didn't bring up the ladybugs.
I'm on the lecture meditating about on the lecture meditating.
Now we have to tell people what we said.
About your question, why they are so auspicious?
No, he said those bugs. I can't remember the name. They're so auspicious. And I said they're ladybugs. And I said, do you know why they're auspicious?
Yes.
And he said, no. Why does everyone really like them? Do you like ladybugs?
Yeah.
Everyone likes ladybugs. You know what ladybugs are? Those little, they're like orange and they have dots on them. They're here too. I've seen them. Yeah, I've seen. Yeah. In Delhi. And you know why people like them? Because they eat the eggs of all the bad bugs. Yeah. I mean, better them than you doing that. Anyway. So people like them. And you're always happy to see a ladybug.
So what I was thinking on this.
Yeah, so you were meditating on that. I knew there was something deep.
The only reason.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking. And then I came and there must be in this, everything what is beautiful is normally also in the spiritual world. So and then I was thinking, okay, but there should be also there are bumblebees in the spiritual world, but they're not so considered as auspicious here. So why they considered more auspicious as bumblebees? And I was thinking, they're mostly also in the spiritual world already considered as a sign of auspiciousness.
Okay, so so you're talking about why are ladybugs even more auspicious in the spiritual world when there's no bug eggs to eat?
Yeah, I think they're
That's a deep question. No, I knew there was. That if ladybugs are considered so auspicious here, since the material world is a reflection of the spiritual world, so they even must be more auspicious in the spiritual world, the ladybugs. So why are they, and there's no little eggs for them to eat, so why? It's very deep. So what was your answer?
Yeah, it must be more auspicious. I don't have a proof now, but
You have to go and find out and send a report. But I do know one funny one where someone asked Prabhupada, I mentioned maybe this to you about yesterday, someone asked if there's snow in the spiritual world. And Prabhupada replied, yes, but it's not cold. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
You know, me and Mara like to read like the biographies about Prabhupada.
Yeah.
When people first start to meet Prabhupada, and at least by the standards of how I preach about what a guru is and how to develop discernment about a guru. By studying the Bhagavatam, we understand what a guru is. And there's certain symptoms of a guru, and you don't pick a guru by his beard or by his cloth. Yet sometimes we hear these early Prabhupada disciples say things like, and Prabhupada walked in and he just flicked his hand and I knew that he was my master, or things like that would appear sentimental. How do we understand this?
Well, that's what happened to me, too. It was actually, I had visited 26 2nd Avenue, and it was arranged that I go on a morning walk with Prabhupada, and Gosinda Prabhu, and the other devotee who had come with me. So we were waiting outside, And I was also saying, I wonder if he's really my. I didn't know what. First of all, Westerners have no concept of what guru is. They have concept what a father is. They have a concept what a teacher is. But guru is a concept that really doesn't exist in the mentor they have. But guru is something different. So I was thinking, is he my guru? But it was, a child's thinking. So when Prabhupada came out of the stairway from his room, and I immediately bowed down, and somehow I sensed that he thought, this is the sidewalk of New York City. You shouldn't be bowing. You shouldn't be put your head to this. But I did it anyway because I didn't trust my thought, because New York, the sidewalks in New York aren't. But then, this is a bit tangential. Then I met him in Hong Kong. Well, Prabhupada came to Hong Kong, and I saw him one morning at near the park. So I went up to him, and I remembered that, and I just went like this, and I didn't bow down because Hong Kong streets are at least as bad as New York streets. So in any case, we went on the morning walk, and I had this question in my mind: is that he's a guru, and he's he lives by his example. So what happens if there's a red light but there's no traffic? Is he going to cross the road, or wait for the light to change green? And immediately there was a red light, and he immediately just walked right across because there was no traffic, because after all he was from Calcutta and Delhi. It's obvious, but I was wondering if, the rules that you, like that. And then he walked to Tompkins Square Park, and this whole time he didn't say anything. And he walked to Tompkins Square Park and around a bit, and then he just walked back. And this was 1968, and there was an election going on between Richard Nixon and someone else, 1968, Democrats and Republicans in the United States. Adlai Stevenson, maybe. No, that wasn't. But anyway, and then Prabhupada, he saw a poster, and he said, what are these Democrats and Republicans? And Gosinda answered something about the war in Vietnam, their different stances. And I had no idea, even though I was 21 years old. And that was all Prabhupada said. What are these Democrats and Republicans? And by the time I got back, I was convinced. So was it a sentiment, or was that Krishna from my heart, or was it his presence, his demeanor, his depth, the way he carried himself, or
It's just good luck.
Or was it just a good luck?
In previous connection.
I don't know, but I recognized that he was. But I still really didn't understand what guru was, even. Yeah. So I can't answer your question, So is it a sentiment? I don't know. I guess if you make a wrong choice, you can say it's my sentiment. If you make a right choice, it was Krishna in my heart.
That's a good answer. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments or questions? We didn't know anything. Yeah, we like chant Hare Krishna, something. But no one knew anything about Krishna.
But you did everything. It's unbelievable. Your generation is so unbelievable. You didn't know anything, but you did everything the Guru said.
Yeah, it was Prabhupada. That we knew Prabhupada. He captured us.
Unbelievable.
And yeah. Yeah, so, what's the difference between that and just having a charismatic leader who's Yeah, you know, but we didn't know there were so many other people who were following this guru, or that Maharishi, or Meher Baba, or someone, or Balakrishna Yogeshwar, and I don't know. And right in the beginning, I saw that had so many friends at the university, and I was like the only one who was really attracted, and I felt the potency of the Maha Mantra right in the beginning, but I couldn't figure out why. Some of them seemed, I was thinking consciously that these people are so much more sincere than me, because we were all looking for truth, we said, but I couldn't figure out why I stuck to it, and none of them did.
Did you meet other, it was the 60s, it was New York, did you meet other gurus at that point?
I hadn't. But it was quite odd for me is that that I had gone back to New York for the Christmas vacation, and I happened to see on television there was I think it must have been Hayagriva, and this bearded guy was talking about how he was walking down Second Avenue and he met the Swami. The Swami was famous already, but I never met him. People used to talk about the Swami. But I wasn't particularly attracted to that. But then I remember specifically that when Hayagriva said I was walking down the street and I saw this man and he was dressed like this and like that. And I remember consciously thinking, why doesn't something like that ever happen to me? And I remember also consciously that at one point, I think I made a sincere prayer. There was a lot of suffering, internal suffering. Hare Krishna, Prajvihari.
Did I miss anything?
No, not really. But I think it wasn't very deep in one sense, but it was sincere, a prayer. And I think Krishna heard that. And I think that's really what it comes down to is a sincere prayer, some sincere desire. But I immediately was caught, I understood this mantra, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra was powerful. The most powerful thing I had ever experienced. After chanting a few days, I considered myself a devotee. Just 15 minutes. Now it's, now I'm not so sure, but I'm like, really? You know what? But then it was immediate. So I don't know if there was some purva samskara, some previous something, I don't know. Probably there was something, I would guess. But yeah.
Devotees are naturally humble, if not just honest. But can you share, just for us newer devotees, you've been practicing since 1968, what is the biggest thing that you feel like you've let go of that was a hindrance to anyone's spiritual growth in your own life? It's sort of a vulnerable question. Like, what do you feel like this is? I'm sure you got transformed because you let go of this thing that was maybe.
I can't think of anything like that. It was all just very, it was natural and callous at the same time. Dealing with family, it was callous.
It was what?
Dealing with family and parents, it was callous too. It was selfish. It wasn't too. It was inconsiderate. Other people did better with their family than me, I think. I wasn't mature enough. So it wasn't my family exactly. I think very often you take your parents for granted until you're older. Anyway, so there's an immaturity there. What was the most difficult thing? It wasn't my friends, exactly. I thought I had found the best thing, so it wasn't, I didn't feel like, but there was some arrogance in there too, so they couldn't figure me out. I don't know. I started doing much better in the university. I was attending the university. I actually was the first person probably in the United States to graduate from the university wearing tilak. I don't know, I can't. I can't do well with that question. What do you think? Why did you, Guru Maharaj give you the name Terkadamba?
That's a good question.
Satan, you like the place? You've been there many times?
We're going tomorrow.
First time?
First time. And,
Who are you going with?
we just hired we couldn't find anybody local. I asked a few people if anybody could take us, so we just hired a local tour company to send somebody. So somebody from Vrindavan is gonna take us. So, why did you give me that name?
Wait, I'm still intrigued by you're going to go for the first time tomorrow. What should we tell him?
I'm surprised. Experience. I'm meeting first time that somebody going to enter the first time.
But what would you tell someone whose name is Terkadamba and he's going with a hired tour guide?
I was like, I don't know, I gotta go.
Right, but what advice would we give him?
What advice? Well, that's the best place actually if you see, because the first time when I came to Braj, that was the day of Gopashtami.
Yeah.
And somehow I ended up at Terkadamba because when I reached 3 o'clock and I saw a big crowd, from village, they were going somewhere and I was not aware of what's happening. So I joined them and I reached Terkadamba. And it was many thousands of people there, for this Gopashtami festival. There was a Krishna and there was a Balram, and they were treating them like a lord.
Yeah.
And
Gopashtami is the celebration the first day when Krishna takes out the cows.
so
Yeah.
then I was trying to, enter in that crowd and to see that what's going on and everything. And all of a sudden I found that I couldn't understood that scenario, what's happening. And all of a sudden I saw from every directions, people were just running like a crazy man, like bulls were coming to one side. I was confused what's happening, and I was really looking how to run away because I thought they will just, smash people, and I thought maybe they're going to fight it now or something. I couldn't understand, and I saw what was the last time that the thing which I could understood. There was some remnants. They've offered this prasad bhoga to those Krishna Balram, and they want to just take it,
They're all running towards the
remnants, they were running really like crazy.
It's dangerous.
So I couldn't stand over there. I just ran behind and I was thinking. And then later, this Baba who is there, I just.
We see it.
Yeah. So I went to him and I asked him what it was, and then he said, for this prasada, even Brahma hanker, but he even cannot get it. And it's only the place where you can get it. So then he said, if you're lucky, just go and find it if you get something. So, so that's the specialty of Terkadamba, that if you get something, then try to find it. And another thing is the good thing which we do every year in Terkadamba is during retreat, we go for 64 rounds. That's actually the best place for Japan. I think they selected a really nice place. So every year we go there once in retreat to chant 64 rounds. It's really beautiful.
And it's the place of Rupa Goswami, who we were just reading about. So it's a good place to pray to Rupa Goswami and just spend be internal, don't waste time there. Just pray to Rupa Goswami to get some blessings. It's a place where you'll find shelter. A wonderful place. And if you see thousands of people madly running to get prasadam, get out of the way.
Should I join? Or?
Oh yeah, run faster.
Yeah, well, you have a choice. You'll, on the moment, you have to make a choice.
They were wild.
I remember one time I was in Mayapur at the time of they were installing the deities, the Astasakis, and I had some position, so I was on the altar taking care of that, and then the whole hall was packed with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of devotees, mostly Bengalis, and I thought I was going to be really generous. So I took a flower or something like that and started handing it to someone. And I almost caused like the death of thousands of people. Everyone started rushing forward. And I realized that's sentiment. That's without understanding reality. It was dangerous. Okay. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai, Hare Krishna. I'll say Buddhism Prabhu ki jai.